welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. You just saw a video clip that is often used to talk about the ill effects of Agent Orange, and our next guest uses this clip to talk about the victims of Agent Orange. I'd like to welcome Len Aldis to the show today. Now, Len Aldis has been fighting for the victims, fighting for justice for the victims of Agent Orange for over 20 years now, and we're here to listen to his story. Len, I want to start a little bit about this visit. How many times have you been to Vietnam?
This will be my 28th visit.
Okay. Now, you saw Duc, who is a very special victim of Agent Orange,
very special indeed,
in Ho Chi Minh. Tell me about his current situation.
Well, I'm very pleased that at the time, when I arrived in Ho Chi Minh City, about 2 days after, I got a text on my mobile saying he's had a child.
Great!
And I knew that it was expected, so I text back to my friend and says, 1 or 2, because I knew it was twins expected. And he says, yes, 1 of each.
Great!
So that was great.
A boy and a girl. What was your feeling? What were your feelings when you heard this news?
Oh, it was very emotional because I remember my first visit in '89 when I first met Duc and his brother Viet.
They were conjoined twins, right?
No, they had been separated the year before.
Okay.
Right?
But originally,
originally they were born co-joined.
And how were they when you saw them the first time?
Oh, it was wonderful because it's the first time I've seen both of these youngsters. They were 8 years old, and I've always noticed and remembered how protective Duc was of his brother Viet. You know, as I sort of approached Viet, Duc in his wheelchair rolled himself over, you know, in the sense to not block my path, but to be very close to his brother. And there's a memory that's always stuck in my mind. And it's unfortunate, you know, a few years ago, and shortly after he married in 2006, that Viet passed away. So, and of course, Duc had invited me to his wedding, you know, in 2006, and of course I was delighted to come and meet him and his lovely wife, who I met again in the hospital, and I saw the twins.
Good. So the babies, what were your feelings? You saw them?
Well, it was lovely because first of all they were that big and weighed just over, I think, 1.3 kilo.
Okay.
You know,
Still
they're in
small.
the incubator.
Yeah, still.
And the one was wearing the little woolly hat, and the other one the pink.
Boy,
so
girl.
you do the blue with the boy and the girl.
That's great.
It
And they
was
were
really
healthy?
lovely. Well, yes, they're in the incubator, being extremely well looked after.
Yeah.
And it was very moving indeed to see twins, knowing, of course, that Duc was a twin himself. So it's passed on that way.
Today, Len followed Duc to Tu Dụ Hospital to visit Duc's newborn twins. Len happily recognized the baby boy through his blue hat and the baby girl through her pink hat. It's here that Duc was born conjoined with his late twin brother, Viet, back in 1981 as a consequence of Agent Orange. So Len was delighted that the baby seemed not to have been affected by dioxin.
A boy and a girl. Twins, just like Duc was a twin. So it's very emotional because he has the feelings and the love to himself and also to his wife of many thousands of people who have been following the issue of Agent Orange. You are here.
Duc was delighted to be meeting Len again, someone who has supported him spiritually via letters and emails over the last 20 years.
Ông Len là một người mà rất là thường xuyên động viên và trao đổi với nhau trên email, và đám cưới đó kìa anh Len cũng có đến dự. Đối với Đức thì ông Len là một người thật sự phải nói rất là khâm phục, bởi vì ông rất là, tuy là ông là một người trong một cá nhân với một cá nhân, một tinh thần cá nhân, nhưng ông đã luôn luôn đòi hỏi cho đúng cái công lý, tức là luôn luôn đòi hỏi chính quyền Mỹ phải làm như thế nào mà để cho giành được cái sự công bằng cho pháp luật để dành cho những người khuyết tật, những người da cam.
2 weeks after birth, Duke's baby twins are doing well and have started gaining weight. Doctors leave them with their mother for kangaroo mother therapy applied to babies born premature. Happiness is now all here for Duke to enjoy.
Chị phải nói là rất là hạnh phúc, và được làm cha thì đây là một cảm giác mà rất là khó tả, bởi vì niềm hạnh phúc đối với mình nó có một cái điều rất là ly kỳ, đó là bản thân mình khi sanh ra cũng là sanh đôi, và bây giờ mình có vợ và lập gia đình và cũng sinh em bé là sinh đôi. Thực sự đó là một điều mà mình cảm thấy rất là hạnh phúc nhất, và cảm thấy là đã tại nguyện được cái hạnh phúc của mình, và cũng mong muốn mà được làm cha của mình.
Duke named his babies Phú Sĩ and Anh Đào.
The situation of Duke and Viet, when you met them, how precarious was it, so that we can understand sort of the scope of those kinds of operations and their conditions?
Well, when I first met the twins, I met them with Dr. Fong, who was then the assistant director, deputy director of the Hoa Binh hospital there. And the operation was successful, but unfortunately, it left Viet in a rather unstable situation. One can only describe it, with no causing any offence, in a vegetable state. And he remained in that state, just lying on the bed for the rest of his life in the same hospital. And every time I came to Vietnam and I went to Ho Chi Minh City, I called in to see not only Duke and Viet, but also the many other children with their various illnesses and disabilities, which I did again when I went on this trip.
On this trip. What support did you give them through the years, Duke and Viet, and some of these other kids?
Well, the support that we give is in the sense to raise funds in the UK to various activities, and the money we transfer to the Vietnam Red Cross because they have this Agent Orange appeal, and through that we've been able to buy, for example, for the victims, say a wheelchair, crutches, small operations, minor ones, but essential necessarily for the youngsters particularly, and one in particular, if I may, which I saw some years ago, about 10 or 11 years ago, a young boy at a peace village sitting in a wheelchair, and he had nothing below that kneecap, and that below the other kneecap, right? So there was a boy of about 8, 9 years old, right? And you start thinking what can be done.